Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of The Repositioning Expert. Welcome to another Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. Ooh, the tea looks weird in there. My gosh, this has to be the latest Tuesday Tea Time I've done. It's 7 o'clock, but my God, the sun is so bright. I don't even have my shades up and it still looks like super, super daytime. Spring is here. I'm so happy. Of course, I'll be stepping right into winter when I go travel to see my parents in the capital of Canada, which is Ottawa, which is probably knee deep in snow and probably super, super cold. So I'm going to be taking my boots and my big winter coat. And here it's like spring in Toronto. So, you got to do what you got to do for family. So let's talk about resurrection, the resurrection of telemarketing. I started my career with, as a student for telemarketing companies, and it was the easiest job to get in the 90s. Well, I guess I was a kid in the 80s, like late 80s, 90s, late 80s, because I graduated in 92. So it's making a comeback. So let me give you some information. I mean, it is not dead at all. So they, in the article and the research that I've done, they think that telemarketing has been around for 150 years, probably coincides with when telephones were invented. I don't know. It's a good idea. So the big question is it dead? Because nobody can reach anyone anymore. It's almost like television stations. Like, is anybody ever even watching a TV, or are they just live streaming? So it's the same thing. Is anybody at their office, or are they at their home office? Does anybody ever even use the phone? And or is it making a comeback? Can you still reach corporate decision makers through the phone? That is the question. Well, I'm going to give you some research data. Only 29, less than a third of buyers want to speak to a human as research about a product or service. And 71% prefer to do it self-serve method. So they want to look at your website. They want to look at your videos. I've had people purchase my services without ever meeting me because they binged my content. So I want to say that. So they just don't prefer human anymore. That's scary, right? Now, here's the second fact is 81% of sales professionals, like the pros, say that they get better lead sources than the phone. So again, is the phone going away? And here's the highest quality. Of course, the highest quality leads come from someone you know, a referral, existing customers. So 33% of the highest quality of leads come from existing customers. The next 33%, the second highest, is social media, believe it or not. And then the third is email marketing, 25%. Fourth is telemarketing. So only 19% of the highest quality of leads come from telemarketing. And then website, SEO, and blogs. They bring in around 18%, almost the same as telemarketing, which is way more expensive and way more painful than just website SEO. Like, can you imagine? Now, here's another fact is the high dollar sales is still in-person meetings or by phone. So it needs conversation to sell high-end, high-ticket items. Now, having said that, most decision makers are my age. So they still remember the day of the phone. They still prefer the phone, and they are still influenced by the phone. So here are some averages that I'm going to give you. The average cold call connection. So when you call, you have to call 100 people because only 17% actually pick up and connect. Imagine how much time you're wasting. And of that 17%, only 5% lead to a appointment or sale or success. And that's now increased twice as what it was in 2022. So all of the stats are to tell you that telemarketing, especially B2B telemarketing, is still gaining in traction. So that's all good news. Now, I have some tips for you. The first tip around how to get B2B telemarketing right is clean up your data. You're wasting so much time and money on numbers that no longer exist, people that no longer work at those jobs. You have old, bad data. And without cleaning up the data, it's a waste of everybody's time. And it's just, going to lower your numbers and increase your costs. So data accuracy is probably the number one issue in telemarketing. Number two is you have to base your calls on time triggers. So what do I mean by that? As soon as somebody downloads something on your website, as soon as somebody calls in with an inquiry, as soon as, or, you have to return the call. It's great if you can pick it up, but within very quickly, a couple of minutes or within the next 24 hours, if you can return it, the close rates are way higher. That's why chatbots, I remember a statistic, it was like 400% increase in sales off a website if you use chatbots. And the whole idea is because you shop upon a trigger or you communicate upon a trigger. Other triggers could be like opening your email, downloading something, downloading a free white paper, downloading or filling a survey on your website. Anything at all that you can have as a trigger to then generate a call. That's another really good way to capture their attention right away, because then they're in the buying mode, they're interested. If it's too long, that's lapsed between when the trigger event happens and when you call, they won't even remember who it was, because there's so many people giving away so much free stuff. The next tip that I want to give you to succeed in B2B telemarketing is the 3x3 rule. So find out 3 things about the prospect that you're going to call by researching them in 3 minutes. So spend at least 3 minutes. I prefer a lot longer, but if you're calling a massive list, I want you to find out 3 things so that you know about them, and one of those things should be their pain points of their industry, and then spend 3 minutes before the call. Another tip number 4 is script it. So the average call is, believe it or not, 83 seconds long. So if you don't have a very tight, concise, and glue-like capturing hook in the first opening line, you're lost. So let's talk about opening lines. How the opening line, how have you been? Some sort of filler, like how are you? How have you been? How have you been has 6.6 times less success versus without. Okay. And say why you're calling. So that, generates 2 times higher response rates, and who you are. Now, do not ask, did I catch you at a bad time? But because again, that decreases 40% of your success rate of booking a meeting. So instead, and this is all research-based, so you can go to, I think this is HubSpot-based research. So I wrote a script. So here's the script. I'm calling because I saw your company's post on LinkedIn, and we specialize in your industry pain, say their industry, and that say the pain point of getting fines, and I made this up, fines for non-compliance in X issue, whatever it is that you help solve. Is this a challenge for you? So that's very concise. That's a couple of seconds and you're off. And if you get a yes, then you book a strategy call. If you get a no, then you try to overcome their objection and ask open-ended questions to understand what, where they're at. If they're still talking to you, you're still in the game. And step number 6 is after you do all that, you got the great opener, you got a clean data, you got them to listen to you all the way till yes, and book a strategy call. Even if you don't book one, follow up. And you can follow up through different means. You can follow up and leave a voice note on LinkedIn. You can send them an email. You can send them another voicemail or a text or a calendar invite, like follow up. And the last, thing that I'm going to tell you is do not leave the call if they're interested. I mean, obviously, if they hang up, you have to leave the call. But if they're interested, they have a need, and they're waffling. One, do not leave without a date to talk again. And two, try to say, we're both going to get really busy. Is it okay if we both put this in our calendar? Do you want me to call you back or leave it with you? So give them options and then make sure that you get the date. Now, the second way is, like, let's say there's other key stakeholders they want in the call, or they don't know what their schedule is going to be like next week, then get a date to get a date. So say, is it okay if I call you Monday at noon to get that date that you're going to be available? So get a date to get a date. Do not let them go. So I think that if you take, through all of these, you take your process through all of these different tips that I gave you, you're going to be well set to succeed in the B2B telemarketing. Because at the end of the day, people my age still prefer the communication. They're selling and buying high-end, high-ticket items through communication and contact. And whether that's through Zoom or phone, it doesn't matter. They still want a conversation. Now, they want to do the pre-research on their own, but you're the one who's potentially putting yourself on their map. And if they already have that pain because they're in that industry and you've done your research and your strategic hook messaging and your target is all aligned according to what their pain is in that industry at that time, costing how much money, and you've positioned yourself with all the stuff online that they're going to go and research after hanging up with you to position you as a thought leader in solving that pain. So it all holds together when you make a coherent strategic plan and a marketing plan to say what you do to help who and what you specialize in. And then you're actually making a phone call to put yourself in front of them. Marketing is only the act of putting yourself in front of your target and telling them how you can help them with their pain. And telemarketing is just doing that by phone. And there are so many ways using these tips and tools to be able to still reach enough decision makers, even in corporations, that telemarketing is resurrecting. I hope that helps you. I hope you go and make a call. And I hope you dust off the phone and start working it again, because it's working, and you just have to do all the right steps. Okay? Take care, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.